Hey everyone, today we're diving into one of the darkest parts of Demon Slayer, the Demon Slayer Mark Curse. This thing gives insane power, but at a huge cost. We're going to explain Tanjiro's tragic and dark fate at the end of the Demon Slayer series, so stick around. Without further ado, let's get into it. Spoilers ahead. At the start of the Hashira training arc, the story brings up the Demon Slayer Mark. We find out that swordsmen who almost defeated Muzan during the Sengoku period, including the first breathing style users, had marks that looked like demonic patterns. The lore around this mark is still pretty vague, but we're here to clear up the mysteries. What we do know is that when one person gets the mark, others around them start showing marks too, like they're resonating with each other. The first to get it in this generation is our boy Tanjiro, followed by Mist Hashira Tokito, and Love Hashira Mitsuri, as we saw in the last anime season. Amane Ubuyashiki, the wife of leader Kagaya Ubuyashiki, hints at something big but leaves us hanging in episode 1. She says, "Those whose marks have already appeared have no choice in the matter, but all who have a mark will, without exception." And then it cuts off. We don't hear the rest. But we see reactions from the Hashira. Muichiro's jaw drops, and Sanemi and Iguro look pretty shook too. I'll explain why soon. Most of the characters, like Giyu and Gyome, keep a straight face when they hear this. So, what did she actually say? What's being foreshadowed? Well, if you've seen a lot of shonen, you know that sometimes power-ups come with a price, like shortening your lifespan. You see it in Hunter x Hunter, One Piece, and others. In this case, she was going to say that everyone who gets the mark will die before they turn 25. Mitsuri's shocked she's going to die before 25, and Iguro, who loves her, is obviously upset. If you didn't know, Sanemi and Iguro are super tight, so maybe he's bummed for Mitsuri, or just sad that Mitsuri and Tokito, such a young demon slayer, are going to die. The Hashira are used to bad news though. We've already lost Rengoku, so it makes sense that Giyu would keep a stoic expression no matter what he's feeling inside. We have to wait until chapter 170 in the manga to find out about the dying before 25 thing. Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo, is the one who spills the beans. He says to an awakened Giyu, "I see you are a marked one. Too bad. From what I've seen, I'd say your age is about 27. I regret the loss." Without exception, the marked ones die before they reach the age of 25. Even if they manifest the mark and are able to improve their power, it merely reduces their lifespan. You showed the mark past 25, so you will probably die tonight. And spoiler alert, he does die that night, although you could argue it's because of the wounds he gets from Muzan. If you think about it, you'll see that Tanjiro, who was the first to get the Demon Slayer mark in this generation, is destined to die before he hits 25, which is super short for a shonen hero. Let's jump to the end of the series. A lot of characters die by the end of the manga, but some make it, including Tanjiro and most of the younger gang like Zenitsu and Nezuko. Out of the Hashira, only Water Hashira Giyu and Wind Hashira Sanemi survive. They both got their Demon Slayer marks in the final battle against the demons. So, while Zenitsu, Inosuke, Nezuko, and Kanao didn't get their marks and should be safe, Tanjiro, Giyu, and Sanemi are only supposed to live until 25 according to the rules about the marks in the Demon Slayer world. This is even worse for Sanemi and Giyu since they're 21 and have only about 4 more years left. Tanjiro is 16 after the battle, so at least he has 9 more years. We know Tanjiro married Kanao and had kids. In chapter 205, we even meet his distant descendants, Kanata and Sumihiko Kamado, who live in the present day. It's tempting to think they all lived happily ever after into old age, but he could have had kids before turning 25 and then died from the curse. Just look at the Ubuyashiki family. They had a lot of kids even though they died young. We never see a 25-year-old or older one. That's pretty dark for a shonen manga, but maybe tragic isn't quite right. Tanjiro saved the world from demons, lived longer than most of his siblings and many others, and enjoyed 9 more peaceful years with his family and friends. I doubt Tanjiro would think it was a tragic end, and if survival was the only goal, he could have become a demon like Kokushibo. There are more important things to the demon slayers than just living long. They'd rather live a short, honorable life than an eternal demonic one. We've seen that many times, but for us readers, it's still pretty tragic and dark when you think about it. Now, let's explore a super hopeful alternative for Tanjiro's future. Maybe, despite the mark still being on his face after the battle, he doesn't die young at all. We can argue for this. First off, the statement that, without exception, the marked ones die before they reach the age of 25 isn't entirely true. There was one exception, a marked one who died of old age. I'm talking about Yoriichi, the strongest demon slayer ever and the first user of sun breathing. Yes, Yoriichi was an exception in every way. Unlike anyone else, he was the most special. But Tanjiro also uses sun breathing and was the first of his generation to awaken the Demon Slayer mark. So, because of these similarities, maybe Tanjiro could be an exception too. There's also the possibility that since Muzan and all the demons are defeated, the Demon Slayer mark curse is lifted. You'd think the mark on Tanjiro's forehead would disappear if that were the case. But let's roll with it for a second. There's a precedent for this. The Ubuyashiki family was cursed because their bloodline produced Muzan, the first demon. As a result, every male Ubuyashiki child was born with a disease and died young. But when Muzan was defeated, this curse was lifted. In modern times, a Ubuyashiki holds the Japanese record for the oldest living person. So, maybe the Demon Slayer mark curse works the same way and gets lifted too. Sure, it's not exactly the same since those who awaken the mark have already pushed their bodies hard. They've burned through some of their lifespan, but that didn't stop Yoriichi from reaching 80. So, anything is possible, and if you want to believe it, I won't stop you. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments. Is our hero destined to die before 25 because of the curse and leave his unmarked wife and friends behind? Or do you believe he'll beat the curse and live to a ripe old age with them? It's kinda nice that the mangaka didn't give us a definitive answer, letting us choose the ending that makes the most sense based on the evidence in the story and highlighted in this video. I'll be the first to admit that it's not set in stone, and you can argue for both sides. Like and subscribe for more Demon Slayer content, and I'll see you in the next one.